If I open this picture, notice that by the time I start zooming in on this picture, very much lightly, you will find that you will start seeing the picture will become more blurry and you start seeing these little rectangles. Now these are what we call the pixels. Okay, most pictures come in pixelated form. So all these little tiny dots is what forms this whole picture that you're seeing. Okay, so but a vector-based graph. All right, guys. So we want to begin Illustrator class. Now we have mentioned earlier what Adobe Illustrator is. Now it's a vector-based graphics software. Now, anytime you hear that a software is vector-based software, now there are two different types of graphics. Now we have vector-based graphics and we have pixel-based graphics. Now, pixel or pixelated graphics are graphics such as pictures. Now, if for example, I take a typical example like this, let's say I take a picture. Now, if I open this picture, notice that by the time I start zooming in on this picture, very much lightly, you will find that you will start seeing the picture will become more blurry and you start seeing these little rectangles. Now these are what we call the pixels. Okay, most pictures come in pixelated form. So all these little tiny dots is what forms this whole picture that you're seeing. Okay, so but a vector-based graphics or a vector-based image is an image that no matter how you increase the size of that image or that object, the quality does not reduce. It still remains the same. Okay, so most of the things that we do with Adobe Illustrator, like flyer, posters, vector-based graphics like graphic software like Illustrator is the best for it. Because by the time you start printing out these materials, it will appear in a very, very, good and readable format, and it will have good quality. So the best program to design any of those things is Adobe Illustrator, which is a vector-based software. And once you open your Adobe Illustrator, you're using the 2022 one, you're going to find this um, interface. All right, now you would see start a new file fast. You would see the different layouts, document layouts or artboard layouts that are available here by default. But now you go here, create new. Now in create new, you are going to find the default artboard here. You see A4. Okay, now this is the preset details. This is where you know take care of all of the settings. Now the dimension, the width and the height of your artboard, you set it here. Okay, now the orientation, do you want it to be landscape or portrait? We're going with portrait now. Okay, number of artboards, you could add up to 5-6 artboard for a particular design depending on what you want to work on. Let's say you want to work on 5 flyers and you want to just have all the layouts so that you can be looking at the different formats of the flyers that you're working on. You can be able to set it to that number here, but let's go with 1 for now. Then we have bleed. Now we'll come back to bleed a little later. Now bleed is very important if you're doing a printing work. Okay? If you're working on something that is going to be printed, bleed is a very important factor that you have to incorporate in your page layout. Now we'll come back to that later on. Now color mode. Now this is another very, very important thing you should take note of. Now there are two basic color modes. We have the RGB color mode and we have the CMYK color mode. Now what are the differences and at what point are you going to use RGB and use CMYK? Now basically, if you are carrying out a design that would be on screen, that will not be printed, let's say social media post design, Okay, someone asks you to create a social media post for something that you want to post on social media, or anything that will just basically be on screen. It's not going to be printed.